Hi, good night, everybody. Welcome to Conversation with Rickford Burke. This is Rickford here in New York. Wherever you're watching me from, have a good. I hope you're having a good day. Good night if you're in uh, Guyana. Good night if you're in the Caribbean. Good night in New York as well. It's early, but it's still good night. If you're watching from London and the rest of Europe, good morning. Africa, good morning. Asia, good morning. Text me, let me know where you're watching from. I see my Canadian friends are already telling me they're watching from Canada. Good night, everybody. Let me call a few names. Share the link in the meantime. Everybody get into your Guyanese groups or wherever you are on social media and share the link. Share the link, share the link, share the link. Good night. Uh, wow, where's that? That's in Texas? Yeah, Waco, Texas. Good night. Um, Good night to you, Andrew Griffith. Good night, Sandra Jones. Good night, everybody. Come and get into your guidance groups and share the link, whether it's on Twitter, IG, your email, WhatsApp, your Facebook groups, Facebook Messenger. Share the link all across social media. Let's get a couple of thousand people here in the audience. Cousin Ronair, good night, sir. Where are you watching from? Newkirk? So share the link, everybody. Share the link, share the link, share the link. I have a very interesting topic tonight. You know, since the racist government in Guyana start to get exposed internationally, they have been running around in black villages saying, "Oh, they're not racist," and "Hey, you come here, I'll buy you a shoe. You come here, I'll fix your house, granny. I'll fix your bridge." In the meantime, they're giving all their supporters hundreds of billions of dollars in contracts. Hundreds of, I mean, altogether, hundreds of billions of dollars in contracts. And they fix buying some shoe for some school child and fixing some granny bridge and walking through the black villages and streets in the rain to pretend that they care. No, they care. No, they care. When they were trying to take away the lands of black people, arresting people, using the police to brutalize people after they shoot and kill our boys. Now they care? Since when they care? Now they're rushing, going to Belladrum to give away one cow. So they're giving away one cow in Belladrum, and then they're giving 20 East Indian contractors $900 million in contracts. But Belladrum get one cow. That's past black people. And they're calling us racist because we're pointing these things out. Well, we're racist. We don't care. We'll keep pointing it out. If fighting for justice for black people is racist, hell yeah, I want to be racist. If fighting for equality for black people is racist, hell yeah, I want to be racist. Because it will be just, it's a just cause. So everybody share the link. Share the link. and I'll be back in about 60 seconds. And we'll talk about this initiative now that they have, run to Black communities, dashing trinkets and crumbs, as if we're like slaves or beggars or scavengers or something. And then our family saying, oh, you see people, I'm going to play a video with him. People are on TV causing racism. You're the racist. Your government is racist. I'll be back in 60 seconds. All right. Welcome again to Conversation with Ricky Burke. All right, so we got this thing rolling. I would like everybody to take a look at. I'm told I'm right. All right, good. So, are you guys hearing me and seeing me well? We had a little technical difficulty to start, but we've gotten over it. I want everybody to take a look at this video.
Who pretend to be leaders of
but then you have to practice what you preach.
Listen,
that's why we're here.
That is why we're here. You ever saw 5 years ago, you ever saw any of your leaders there? No.
No, they didn't get a chance.
Oh, they didn't get a chance? Well, I get a chance, and I'm going to do it. I get a chance, and I'm going to do it. You see this wickedness where they use the television to spread the narrative of hate? We're going to destroy it in the communities. We're going to come and talk to the people directly.
What nonsense is that? He met a voter. The woman is saying, practice what you preach. You're only coming in the Black community now because you're under pressure. He cussing she out. And then he says people on TV. All right, so let's see who's on TV. Barry Jagdev is on TV telling Black people they're criminals. Every Black leader is a criminal. Narc is a criminal. Lewis is a criminal. Burke is a criminal. Everybody's a criminal. Paul Slow is a criminal. Who more thieving than Jagdev? But again, they have racist Republican consultants advising them that this is how you deal with Black people. You see anybody on social media calling people hungry belly dog, the N-word? It's PPP supporters doing that. It is the PPP who's showing Afro-Guyanese hate. You think if the PPP was doing good for Black people, we would be out here pressuring them? is spreading hate. It's a PPP that doesn't want people to talk, using the Guyana police force against them. He said people are spreading hate. The people are seeing. No leader has to go on TV to tell them, oh, when they come in your community, say this. Listen, I'm not even being biased here. Of course, you would have 1 and 2 Black folks who would demonstrate some sort of bias. But on a whole, the people causing confusion in Guyana is the PPP. There's no question about it. They are racist. They're running an apartheid state. That's the problem. Which Black person is troubling the PPP? Which Black person is going out there hating PPP supporters? No. The PPP is being triumphalist. The PPP is being triumphalist. Pull it back. Racial triumphalism. They want to celebrate the ascendance of their race. That is causing the problem. We have a little issue here. Everybody keep sharing the link. Listen, the PPP government is starving Georgetown for funds. Who live in Georgetown? Black people. They're starving these villages, traditional Black villages, for fun and tongue. Starving Linden for resources. Who live in Linden? Black people. Starving Bartica and Region 7 for funds. Who live there? Mostly opposition people. And you know what they're doing? Instead of giving, 1 second, I have a light here that's going to, we're trying to fix an issue here. Hold on. One second. Yeah, so instead of passing the funds, everybody keep sharing the link, to the regions. The PPP is not doing that. The PPP is not doing that. They give the regions the minimum funds for them to function and govern administratively. And all the projects and so on, in the regions where Black people live, they want to select what they want done. They're thwarting the will of the regional democratic councils in the regions that the coalition won. Region 7, Region 10, Region 4. Now, they're changing the boundaries. So they're putting most of the East Indians together and separating them from Black communities. So when the elections come, they have direct clinical control of their areas, and so they could starve area. That's what they're doing. Now they want to split Region 4 in 4 or 3, or how much? So then what they will do is go and say, okay, East Bank will have MPs based on the number of people living there. Georgetown will have MPs based on the number of people living there. And East Coast will have MPs based on the number of people living there. Rather than Region 4 itself being assigned MPs based on the proportionality of the vote and the population of Region 4. Region 4 has about 300,000 people. So they will have the largest share of members of parliament. And those members of parliament are allocated based on the proportionality of the vote. So if you get 60% of the vote, you get 60% of the MPs. If you get 80% of the vote, you get 80% of the MPs. So what do you think the PPP wants to do now? They want to change that. That must be good for their region in Region 6. Oh, Region 6, yeah, yes, we have all our East Indian brothers and sisters there who vote. Don't touch that. Don't touch that. Those are superior people. We want our ethnic supremacy maintained in Region 6. But Region 4, where are the black people at? No, 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 they must get less MP. That's the PPP government we're dealing with. So what you think they want to do now? Region 4 is special. Them black people, they say, get too much of vote, they get too much of power. Too much MP come from Region 4. We got to dilute that. What we got to do now? We got to take away some of their MP, right? We got to split up the region. So Region 4, we got to give them MPs up on East Coast. Then we got to get them from Georgetown. And then in certain parts of region the East Bank, where we got heavy votes, we got to take them and we got to make it based on the proportionality of how many East Indians vote for us there and how many East Indians vote for us on the East Coast. That's what they're doing. And they think we stupid. And they think by labeling us racist, it's going to deter us from speaking out. And that's why they're targeting me, because I don't care what they say. I don't care. They could call me criminal, terrorist, get murderous Clifford Hickett, who headed a squad that killed protesters in Linden, get him to put out how many more wanted bulletins? I don't care. The truth must be told. This is an apartheid regime, and we maintain the Caribbean and the United States government must not allow the PPP government to function as a racist apartheid government. If they can't, I have concluded that if they cannot comply with democratic norms, put them out to the government. The United States does it everywhere around the world. The international community must come together and put them out. That's going to be my advocacy. If this is with the road they want to go down, if this is the road that the PPP wants to go down. So don't worry with our finale jumping up around, oh, I will come in the community and do it. He is a racist. He's heading a racist government. He's holding a knife at the back of the throat of black people, and he's smiling in front of you. He's like, hey, I'm not going to do you nothing. I love everybody. Boom. Stab you in the back. That's what they're doing. Now, remember this week, a group of 85 organizations and prominent individuals in Ghana, including the opposition leader and the leader of the AFC and a former magistrate, signed a letter to Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, and Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. In the letter, it talks about racism, it talks about all the discrimination. It talks about how you're ostracized whenever you speak out against the PPP. You're killed, assassinated, set up, charged, police, whatever. They deny that. You know what? By the next day, they're threatening to kill the man who signed the letter. Mr. Saul from Belladrum. And the people of Belladrum must be aware that their son of the soil, Mr. Leon Saul, who signed the letter as the secretary of the newly formed Organization Against Discrimination, he's being threatened now with death. That's the PPP they own the country. You mustn't have. Them and them support a long amount. The Prime Minister, the so-called Prime Minister, put out a missive cursing him out, personally singling him out. And that's their cue to their death squads and their racist, extremist supporters to go after Mr. Saul. And the Prime Minister served in the military with him. And that's the job they gave the Prime Minister to do. Shameful, disgraceful. useless buffoon in the government who should be going to these black communities, listening to the people. He's setting people up to get death threats. In effect, that's what he's doing by singling out Mr. Saul. It's a dog whistle to their supporters. Hey, go after Saul. And in the letter, talks about that, the letter itself says, this is what they do. He came out and denied. And then he did the same thing in the same letter that he's denying that they normally ostracize people. Well, Mr. Salas from Belladrum, let it go ahead and touch it. More people in Ghana need to start speaking out. You hear me tell you, Guyanese? Speak the truth. And as to speaking the truth, they're now on a counter-narrative mission where they're getting all these black people to say, oh, no, we were never discriminated against. It's unbelievable. Case in point. As soon as the government came to power, the first black-owned business that they targeted was Sevon's. They targeted Sevon's. And then a lot of righty people say, God, give up your land. Give up the place where you got your headquarters. Give it up, it's not your own. How dare you, black men, Afro-Guyanese, son of slaves, have such prime real estate? No, you have to give it to us Indians. He didn't say that, but that's how I am interpreting it. The man running the business, good. Sevon's. They tried to take away his land. A lot of people got involved, including I. Lots of people. The matter eventually got to the president, and the anger was so pervasive. The president spoke with him and said they're going to solve it. Right? They now went to Sevon's son and got him to say, we were never discriminated against. We are happy with this government. You think I'm joking? All right. Let's go to the videotape. Let me see if I can share my screen.
If not more, just from this app on my phone. And I don't know if you can see this, but
Although being the holder of a 50-year lease and with construction well advanced on a new building, Sevon's Waste Management Inc. has been asked by the government of Ghana to vacate the plot of land the government claims it illegally rented. In a letter to the company's chief executive officer on Tuesday, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal said that Sevon's nor any of its subleases have any right to use or occupy the plot of land. The land belongs to the National Sports Commission, something Nandlal says Sevon's is well aware of. The land was leased to Sevon's in 2008 by the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission. Nandlal says that despite a substantial amount of money being paid for the lease, it was illegal on several fronts. Nandlal said that although a substantial amount of money was paid for the lease, it was illegal on several fronts. In his letter, the AG reminded Sevon's that the company had previously held a purported lease from the Georgetown Mayor and City Council for the same land, which had to be voided because the legal title for the land did not belong to the MNCC. Similarly, the Lands and Surveys Commission had no legal authority to lease the land. To this end, Nandlal said the transaction was unlawful, null void, and of no effect, as is the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the company and the Lands and Surveys Commission. That MOU contained the promise to sell the land. Nandlal also noted that the former Lands and Surveys Commission's boss had no lawful authority to make such a promise for sale. He said such power resided with the President of Guyana and was never delegated to the Commissioner. As a consequence, the Attorney General further noted that subleases to Sol Guyana Inc. and Quorum Restaurants Holding Inc. are also unlawful. The Attorney General reasoned that with the entire transaction being done without the knowledge of the rightful owner of the lands, the National Sports Commission simply compounds the impropriety and illegality with which the transaction was done. Nadler said the Sports Commission plans to use the lands for the development of sports and the construction of facilities. Should Sivons fail to remove, the AG threatened that legal proceedings will be filed and the matter will be reported to the Criminal Investigation Department for investigation and the laying of criminal charges.
There you go. You hear how they end? Y'all black people, we gonna carry y'all to the police and gonna charge y'all criminally. The man paid for the land. The man bought the land from the government, at least leased the land lawfully. If Nanlal had a problem with that, Nanlal should go back to the Sports Commission, go to the City Council, go to the Lands and Surveys Department and sort it out there. But he thinks he's the king of Guyana. All of these prime lands that these black people own, we will have to take them away. That's how I see it. That same Nanlal went to Region 5 and told them to go and take away Kojo McPherson's family's lands in Region 5. Break down the fence and take it. That's what he said. Them, the grandfather there and left the transport for Guyana for them and their only East Indian friends and family. Now they got his son to say, us? No, we were never discriminated against. They're trying to charge the man criminally for for leasing a land with the right to purchase. Now they want to rewrite history. Probably promised his son a little bit of money, contract something somewhere, and he jump and go on and say that. Oh, we were never discriminated. I'm not even sure he was smoking something when he did the interview. And you know what? The government has outsourced this campaign to disprove, to rewrite history and disprove that they're discriminating against black people to News Source. News Source is owned by whom? PPP supporters. But what News Source forgot, it was News Source itself that carried the story about discrimination against Sivons. It was News Source. That newscast you just saw was from News Source. Now, News Source is going to Sivons' son and carry another story. They were never discriminated against. Who are these people? They think we're stupid. They think we're stupid. Nanela wasn't satisfied there. He then went on to car care, Mr. Bradford, tried to take away his land. And several others, including black folks that leased or bought properties on the Gaisuko estates that the government divested itself of. And you know what? The Chief Justice ruled that all of their actions were unlawful. You know what the government did? Are we not going to let them black people just take them land? No, they're appealing it. The Chief Justice ruled that these properties were lawfully, legitimately purchased or leased. Now, last time, no, only the president got that power to do that. So we are taking it back. Them that alone must get land. Black people mustn't get nothing. And then they talk about, we love all black people. And we believe in one Guyana. We're going to come to another something just now. Where we're going to examine their actions. And let's see if it's all one Guyana. I saw another article today by Newsroom interviewing Dr. Varswick, Melissa Varswick. She might be a perfectly nice lady. I don't know her. But they're now trying to use her to say there's no discrimination. And Dr. Varswick belongs to a Black entrepreneurs organization. I'm not, like I said, she might be a perfectly nice lady. I'm not knocking her. She got to do what she got to do. But this same Black entrepreneurs organization that she's a part of collaborated with a group of entrepreneurs and elected officials from Georgia and North Carolina here in the United States. And they went and they met with Irfan Ali, Bart Jagdeo, and a whole group of government officials to talk about opportunities for Black businesses. And during that meeting, somebody from the government side asked them how they could set me up to get me arrested so that I could stop talking. I understand that's now part of some investigation. None of them in that meeting said, well, what? You're just asking us to commit a crime, like go and set up somebody, frame somebody, like what BM So just did. This group did not respond, but nobody had the moral courage to stand up and say, no, that's wrong. This is not the period from 1992 to 1990 to 2011 when you are set up people and kill Black people. No, we don't believe in that. That's out of place. That's wrong. That's criminal. That's unethical. It's immoral. None of them said it. They sat there and in silence. Now she is making some statement that Black people must stop complaining or something like that. Listen, we don't want anybody to lie like the government. We want people to tell the truth. And that document that was sent to the Vice President and Congress is based on fact. Fact that they're now trying to use people like her and Sivon's son to undermine. And you know what? The very issues of discrimination that the document speaks about, both of these individuals experienced it. Both. So the government is now trying to use these sources now to gaslight people. Oh, it never happened. It never happened. I don't want to dwell on that. But the government is, you notice, they're so contemptuous of Black people. Up to now, several of these Black leaders, including all of the Black organizations, probably except one or two, signed that document. Did you hear Ali or Jagde or Nandlal or anybody say, let us go and sit with these organizations and hear? No. He want to run through the rain, telling Granny he gonna build some bridge and some lady gonna do something and crumbs. In the meantime, Bharat Singh getting a contract for $300 million to build some school. Mohan somebody, Prasad, getting another $400 million contract to build some road. Never built nothing in life yet. Vicar somebody, Puran, I'm just calling random names, getting a $900 million contract to build some other project. But the people on Leopold Street get a visit from the installed president, and he says, oh, I'm going to sponsor some training programs. He rides in like a king. Granny, who do you live here with? We're going to fix up this house and build a walkway. Tati. You, what? We don't want handouts. We don't want trinkets. We want equal opportunity. We want equal contracts. We want access to financing so that we could build our own businesses and empower our own communities. We want the infrastructure in the villages to be rehabilitated or redeveloped so that we can have farmlands and we could plant our farms and have a way to bring out our produce to a market or someplace to sell it and earn. We don't want handouts. We want the banks to be fair. We want fair laws so that the bank could consider Mr. Kewal Singh, who is a billionaire from Essequibo that has assets, the same man from Buxton who got a house, and he wants to get a loan to open a store or some sort of business, that they can be considered fairly, their applications. We want level playing field. We don't want handouts and trinkets. We don't want you to build nobody's house and make nobody bridge. Yes, they're vulnerable people in society, but those things are ad hoc governance. A magic wand governance. You throw the wand and she must get a bridge. No. If Granny needs a bridge, refer her to the Ministry of Social Services, where that ministry will do a proper assessment of her condition, put her on some sort of program to alleviate the challenges. She gets some sort of grant to improve her environment. That's how you run a government. Not by magic wand, she build a bridge, build a house, and you're doing it all on TV for the world to see, and pretend that you're doing it because you care about Black people, but you're not doing it for Black people. You're doing it for PR consumption, so you don't look more racist than you are. And you calling us racist? They're calling us racist when we point these things. Everybody share the link. Now, the government has been arguing, right? They're not racist. They're not racist. Well, let us look. Attorney at law Nigel Hughes, and I'm going to have him on this program sometime next week, did a study about the government's performance and how it allocates money. Government money, people's resources. Again, I'm going to try to share my screen. All right, let's see. All right. All right. So he teamed it, economy and justice in Guyana. Government structure, he deals with the government structure. The Ministry of Housing is one of the ministries tasked with assigning and awarding government contracts. These contracts are locally funded through budgetary allocations and are awarded by the government of Guyana. The three largest projects awarded by the Ministry of Housing through the Central Housing Authority are: one, the Schoonard to Crane Road project. That's $11 billion. Two, Mandela to Eccles 4-lane road, $2.3 billion. The Eccles to Diamond Road, 4-lane road, $13.3 billion. Let's see who got the contract. One contract, VR Construction, $849 million, Indian Guyanese contractor. Avinash Construction and Scrap Metal, they got $992 million, Indian contractor. El Hercules Construction Services, $2.1 billion, mixed Chinese and Indian, right? Now, this, bear in mind, this is now what? Altogether, 13 billion plus 2 billion, well, it's 13.3. That's 15 billion plus 11. That's $21 billion. All going East Indian contractors mostly, and then you have another set, 2 point something billion going to Chinese and East Indian. Let's go. Oh, by the way, sorry, there's a fourth contractor at the bottom here, Guy America Construction, 2.6 billion, East Indian Guyanese. So he's broken down this now by ethnicity. The Schoonard to Crane Road project. Part of the contract went to AJM Enterprise. That's 1.8 billion. No ethnicity listed. Val's Construction got 1.3. No ethnicity listed. Then it has Puran Brothers. 1 billion. East Indian descent. There's what? JS Guyana Construction, 972 million East Indian. Down the road again, we're breaking down, we're going, this is for the Mandela Eccles 4-lane road. Guy America again, $555 million, East Indian contractor. MTS UL, that's a construction M&P investment, 360, the writing here is very light, 364 million, Brazilian Indian joint venture. Puran Brothers again, they got $360 million in contract, East Indian. Breakdown of award, this is the Mandela Eccles, Colin Talbot, and Ian Lal. This is, of course, this is a mixture, I guess, African, Guyanese, and East Indian. There's another construction service here, Aronoco. That's East Indian Trinidadian. They got $471 million in contract. The first one was $256 million. JS Guyana Inc., $352 million in contract, East Indian Trinidadian. Breakdown in the Eccles Great Diamond Bypass, that's $13.3 billion. Contract went to Jagmohan, East Indian, 1.2 East Indian. Next contract went to China Railroad First Group, that's Chinese, 1 billion. And then Ivor Lynn, who obviously is Afro-Guyanese from Essequibo Coast, 825 million. This is another project now, breakdown of a $27.1 billion contract awarded by the Ministry of Housing. From the $27.1 billion, only 17% of that money was awarded to Afro-Guyanese in the joint venture. 82.5% of the ministry's housing of the 3 largest projects were awarded to East Indians and foreigners. Water treatment plant and supplies. Let's see. First contract, Compass Industries, Industrial Services, 421 million. That's a new contractor. The ethnicity is not known. Second contract, H. Knott and Sons, 500, $500 million, East Indian. Next contract, DNR Construction, 278 million, East Indian. DAX Engineering, 2 billion, sorry, East Indian. International Import and Supplies, 325 million, East Indian. Singh and Sons, 421 million, East Indian. S. Jagmohan and Company, 1.2 billion, East Indian. Toshiba Water Solutions, 633 million, American. Ministry of Health Procurement of Drugs and Equipment. Contractor. This is a $19 billion project. Contractor, new GPC, $13 million. East Indian Guyanese, that's Jagdev friend. 68.43% of the total budget for this contract went to Bobby Ramsroop, who owns this company. This is Jagdev's personal friend. The other contract went to Western Scientific Company, 5.1 billion, East Indian Trinidadian. No black people. Oh, black people, they don't know how to do these types of businesses nowhere in the world. This is the 2022 budgetary allocations for the regions. Region 4, the capital of Georgetown, and the most populous region, where 41% of the population of the country resides in Region 4. Region 4 is where all the black people live. The region is predominantly Afro-Guyanese. You know how much money the government awarded the whole region that has over 300,000 people? 781,000 million, sorry, 781 million. Let's go to Region 6. Region 6, predominantly East Indian region. We're talking about East Berbice Quarantine. You know, from New Amsterdam straight up to Springlands and down the Berbice River. Region 6 has 15% of the population of the country. 15! The government gave them almost $1 billion. $962 million. 15% of the population. Region 4 has 41% of the population, and they got far less than Region 6. And Region 3. Region 3 has approximately 18% of the population. And they got, and it's predominantly East Indian, PPP region, $890 million, almost another billion. Region, out of these three regions, where the two of them combined doesn't even equal Region 4 population. And bear in mind, Region 4 is where all the revenues from the country come from, almost all. I would say about 80%. And Region 4 only got $700 million. Let's go on. Oil and gas offshore blocks, petroleum blocks. Let's see how the government assigned those. The Stabroek block, the license holder, ExxonMobil, a Chinese company, Nexen, and Hess. Roraima block, it's held by an American company. Demerara Quarantine Pomeroon block, Lisa CXG, Canadian. Kanji block, Esso, Mid-Atlantic, Guyana, this is a Guyanese company. HGI, which is BVI. Let's go to the Kaichur block. The Kaichur block, the license holders are Ratio Energy Limited, Israeli, and Guyanese. Orange Juke block, owned by a UK company, Total, a France company, Eco Atlantic, a Canadian company. Kanuku block, the license Risol, which is Spain, Rispol, Spain, and Tolo, which is UK. Awards of offshore oil block to Guyanese. Let's see now. Kanji block, awarded the 4th of March 2015, 2 months before national elections when the people was voted out of power, while the people was in office, awardee Mid-Atlantic Indo-Guyanese, all black Indo-Guyanese, Kaitro Block awardee, Racial Energy, and Portuguese Guyanese. There were no advertisements of the offer for the sale of any of these offshore oil blocks. No African Guyanese and no African Guyanese entity has ever been awarded offshore blocks in Guyana. Let's go to oil and gas now. Shore bases. Again, this writing is very light, I can barely see it. The location of these companies, of these projects, Region 4, Region 3, and Region 4 again. The company, Guyana Shore Base, awarded $100 million East Indian Guyanese. That's the project. Region 3, NGR Holding Inc., $600 million East Indian Guyanese and Portuguese Guyanese. Region 4, Crown Mining, the amount awarded not available, East Indian Guyanese. Gold exports license that the PP has granted for 2021 alone. 11 licenses were granted, 9 to East Indians, 2 to Africans, African Guyanese. Gold export license. In 2022, 6 licenses were issued, 5 to East Indian Guyanese, 1 to Afro Guyanese. Sand and stone quarries. In the construction boom, which Guyana is currently enjoying, sand and stone quarries are critical to the country's development. Let's see quarry licenses. RMC Silica, African Guyanese. The Black Jaguar Investment Group, Indo-Guyanese. Vishwan Baikan, Indo-Guyanese. The other one is Elysia Investment and Construction Inc. The information for that is not available. Hadis World, East Indian Guyanese. Hadis World again, East Indian Guyanese. Hadis World, East Indian Guyanese. Hadis World, East Indian Guyanese. So that company alone has about 4 or 5. Metallica, CCC, Guyana Inc., ethnicity not known. Southern Canada International Trading, that's Chinese. Quarry licenses, again, York Investment, not known. Lorenzo Alfonso, Portuguese Guyanese. Harendranath Udit, East Indian Guyanese. Abdul, East Indian Guyanese. Malani Quarry, East Indian Guyanese. BK Quarries, East Indian Guyanese. BK Quarry, East Indian Guyanese. Barcara Quarries, East Indian Guyanese. Tri-County, East Indian Guyanese. And the other one is a Chinese Guyanese. I can't pronounce that word. Tulsi Prasad, East Indian Guyanese. Ramdehal, East Indian Guyanese. Quarry allocations. Of the 22 quarry licenses issued, only 1 is issued to an African Guyanese entity. 4.5% of the quarry license is issued to African Guyanese. The consequences, this is Nigel's conclusion. Consequences of the systemic transfer of the state resources to the Indian population over the last 25 years. The People's Progressive Party has been in office since 1992 to 2015, and from 2020 to present. During the above periods, there has been an almost exclusive transfer of state assets to East Indian businesses on the same scale as demonstrated above in the budgetary allocations. The Afro-Guyanese community has been deprived of its vital economic resources during this period, which has crippled the ability of African Guyanese companies to successfully participate in bids for or compete with Indian businesses for government-funded and or large private contracts. Small Business Act, never implemented. The government, and Nigel is talking about the fact that the Small Business Act was never implemented. And so the government, this part of the act says, the government shall use its best endeavors to ensure that at least 20% of the procurement of goods and services required annually by the government is obtained from small businesses. And for this purpose, the council shall prepare annually a small business procurement program. Never done. Issues of justice or its absence. One, Isaiah and Joel Henry, murder of 2020. Never solved, never properly investigated. Or in Boston, well, now they have charged someone, Quinlan Bacchus. Now they've charged someone. Missing on this list is Kevin Andrews. I guess he forgot that. And now we have Tamika Clark, who was arrested unjustifiably, a lawyer, because she advised her client not to speak to the police in keeping with this constitutional right. And basically, this is a narration of what happened in those cases we cited. Possible solutions. Inclusion of intended beneficiaries in economic decision-making processes, identify the system barriers, rebalance the transfers, build assets, an asset base for disadvantaged businesses, set criteria and manage the results of a new program designed to reverse and rebalance the current state of affairs. So, the government likes to talk about the fact that they're one Guyana. One Guyana. Right? They are one Guyana. And this is just a cursory review that Nigel has done here. Just cursory. We have commissioned a study, CGID. We have commissioned a study of these exact issues all across the board, but in the procurement sector. And when that results comes out, it will be shocking. When the study is done, which it should be done within the next month or so, or even less, it would be shocking. My problem is these guys are not prepared to give Black people one concession, none. All they're prepared to do is go into Black villages now, walk around with cameras and so on, and do this cosmetic public relations stunt. Hey, we in Black villages, we love Black people. They don't. They don't. And when we do programs like these to make people aware, they call us racist. How dare you speak about our racism? You racist, Rickford Burke is a racist. Reverse. They're projecting because they think it's going to scare us from speaking out. They lie. More people need to speak out. More people need to speak out. It is amazing that these guys think that they can get away with this in 2022. They're transferring all of the nation's wealth to their East Indian friends and supporters. Not even East Indians generally, because East Indians that don't support them ain't getting nothing either. Amerindians that don't support them not getting anything either. Just imagine they are living in Georgetown. They left their homes in the country wherever they came from, and they're living in Georgetown. But because they do not control the government of Georgetown, they're starving Georgetown for funds. And then they'll say, oh, you see, Georgetown is on kept poor management because the coalition is running it. And I want to zero in on another aspect of this issue, where they're criminalizing Black leaders. You notice they put out a flyer with all of our pictures. All of us are criminals. Barjak, they proudly stood up the other day and say, I'm a con artist and I extort Indian businessmen. Everybody know Barjak is the biggest thief in the Caribbean, biggest thief in the third world. He get caught in his basement or his bedroom or wherever, trying to arrange a 500 million US dollar bribe, trying to extort 500,000 US dollars from a Chinese company, which was Vice News posing as Chinese business people, and he calling people criminal. Was involved in a government that formed death squads that murdered hundreds of black men. Is the current defendant of a missing and murder case before the Inter-American Human Rights Commission. And they call them black people criminals. We just saw Nigel Hughes just did a very cursory review of the way they're operating. And it shows you plainly, if you calculate all of that we just saw, must be at least $80 billion. Easily, that went to the East Indian community, and probably about 4% of that went to black people. If I remember well, there's only one black contractor, Ivor Aline, that got an $800,000, $800 million rather, contract. And in another situation, there was a joint venture with another black person that got 17% of the contract. That's it. And I know for sure, I think Hits and Jams company, I don't remember the name of the company, got a contract to build a school in London, or 2 schools. That's it. So let's say 3 black contractors got major contracts. 3. 3. 3. 1, 2, 3. Since the PPP came to power in 2 years, and have awarded over $100 billion. $100 billion in contracts. Right? Iverlin got 800 million, and the other guy got about 200 million. So out of that, let's just roughly calculate it, so you could get the picture. Out of, let's say, $100 billion, we can safely say we know 1.2 billion went to 3 black contractors. About 80 billion went to East Indian supporters of the PPP. And the rest in the middle went to foreign contractors, including East Indians from Trinidad. This is the government that want to tell us about one Guyana. This is the government of that clown that running around in the black communities talking about black people, about black leaders misleading people. We are misleading people about racism. In the meantime, they're taking away black people land. Fire over 300,000 people from, 3,000 people from jobs, black people from jobs. Paying Gaisuko workers hundreds of thousands of dollars in severances, severance pays. Paying COVID relief, flood relief, mainly to their Palestinian supporters. Another set of billions of dollars. And we must not speak. Because if we speak about it, we are racist. Nigel is right. There must be laws, and the international community must act to force the government to reverse what they're doing in Guyana. We must have corrective measures. Black people who are in Guyana too, we foreparents died. The slaves mostly built Guyana. Blood, sweat, and tears of the slaves. It never go down so this time. No, it cannot go down like that. The other reason they're running up and down through the Guyanese community, the black community, it's because they're looking at the numbers. Migration rates among their supporters, migration rates over the period of time, even since they're in government, every year has gone up. They cannot win the elections with the East Indian supporters alone. But they are so greedy and corrupt. They need black votes, but they're not willing to give black people no major concession, just crumbs and trinket. Build a house of granny, they walk to some place, call some party, throw a big party, bring in artists, and make you wine and drink liquor. And that's it. And then they're running around saying, look how many black professionals we give houses to. And house lots. Half of the house lots is just a place. It has no infrastructure. You can't build anything there. And in any case, they're doing their job, what governments are supposed to do, and they want us to acknowledge it like if they're doing us a favor or they're granting us a privilege. Oh, we are giving you a house. That, God damn it, the land belongs to the people. That's your job. That's the government's job. For the life of me, I am trying to figure out as I wrap up, what is the objection to this PPP government sitting down with black leaders in all across the sectors, trade unions, community leaders, black youth leaders, women's leaders, whatever, politicians, and sit down and figure out, okay, you guys are complaining. Where are our shortcomings? What it is we can do to correct the problem? What are the recommendations you have for better governance? What are your recommendations to empower black communities? No. Them got a 1-seat majority in the government, in the parliament, 1 seat. And they want to govern like a fascist dictatorship. They want to rule over black people, or finally going into these communities like the king, a crown prince or king or something, waving a government magic wand, and he wants to build a bridge, and he wants to give you a stall, and he wants to do this, and no proper structure to governance. No program for the empowerment of black communities. No policy, no strategy. No inclusion, no joint management of the parliament that they got a 1-seat majority than the opposition. None of that. They want to govern Guyana by decree. They want to govern Guyana by decree, edicts, and magic wands. Can't work. Can't work, won't be acceptable, would not be tolerated. And like I said, the international community has to solve this. But this is a crisis. This is a crisis. Guyana has one of the world's largest oil reserves. And these people in the PPP intend that every cent must go to their ethnic supporters. Not even Indians that don't support them. No, their own PPP East Indian supporters. Every cent of the oil dollars must go to them, the rich family and friends, and their East Indian supporters. They don't care about East Indians that don't support them. They don't care about those poor East Indian people. They don't care about the Amerindians. And they hate black people. So they're not going to care about us. They care about enriching themselves, their family, and their friends. That's it. That's it. And that's what the contracts, the awarding of those contracts in that analysis that Nigel did, that's what it proves. That's what it proves. And I want people like young Archer and Dr. Melissa Varswick. That's what I want them to talk about. Leveling the playing field. Not come telling us don't complain because it's not true. There is discrimination. There is damn racial discrimination. And we must all work to end it. Don't gaslight us. Don't fool us. Don't pretend. Don't bring BS and give us. Let us end it. We want to see black people equally on boards, owning oil blocks. How dare this government come and take the country oil block and give it only to East Indians and foreigners? Black people don't exist and they don't want us to talk about that? The slaves built the country. The slaves, the foundations of the country, the modern Guyana, was laid by the slaves. How dare you come and tell us now that we can't get oil blocks? How dare you? When I think about it, it evokes such contempt for them. It evokes such contempt. And then they have their racist sycophants all over social media cursing us out and tell us we should go to jail for speaking out. And you have all blacks where only Indians own? How dare these people? How dare them? How dare them be so damn contemptuous of us? And how these black people in this government, you Todd and Mark Phillips and all the others, sit there and tolerate this nonsense. How dare them? You think this could happen in Jamaica? Or in any other country? We have to keep informing the people. That's why we have programs like this, because what they were able to successfully do is build all these media, like Newsroom and Starbuck News and iNews and Guyana Times, and now they're using the government resources, Chronicle and NCN, to spread propaganda. And I give you the two most glaring examples. Both people that they're using now to say, no, there is no discrimination, have experienced discrimination. And their experience are chronicled. Chronicled in the statement signed by prominent Guyanese and sent to the Vice President of the Congressional Black Caucus. Both of them have their issues in there. And they have the audacity to allow themselves to be used by these racists to claim there's no discrimination. No discrimination. What is Burke and Kemrat Ramjatad and Norton and all these people talking about this? There's no discrimination. If there was no discrimination, why is the U.S. ambassador, who supports the PPP, calling for inclusion? On at least, by my count, at least 4 occasions, she's called for inclusion. Why? They won't even pause to think. And like, again, as I wrap up, I'm going to done after this. We finished after this. They have yet to meet with the political representatives of the majority of the black population. Refuse. They mean that they are not going to give African Guyanese and opposition supporters 1 inch of a concession. 1 inch. You know what? We have to force them because the country belongs to everybody. We have to force them to give us an inch. We have to force them to give us oil blocks. We have to force them to give us concessions. We have to force them to give us contracts. Is our country. Force them to do it. The international community must step in and force them to do it. That's what that statement, as far as I interpret it, is seeking to do. Force them, let the world see and intervene and come to Guyana and say, this nonsense must end now. It must end now. That's my last word for tonight. The nonsense, the racial discrimination, the victimization, the marginalization, the impasse of Black people must end now. And the international community has an obligation to make sure it ends now. Thank you. Have a good night.